Hello, Whatnuts, Humpty Dump Nuts, and One Repub Nuts. It is Wednesday, May 15th in the United States of America. I am DJ Bean. Pete Blackburn is over there. Sean DePaz is over there. And this is What Chaos presented by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Use promo code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Hello, boys.
Why the One Repub Nuts?
Because I ain't worried.
Oh. All right.
No, Sean?
I don't get it, no.
Well, Sean, Ryan Tedder is a guy. He's got a band called One Republic.
That I know.
And he was this big, too late to apologize. He was very obsessed with the timing of how somebody could apologize to him.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, that ship had sailed.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't apologizing to me.
Makes sense.
It's too late. Too late for you. Maybe somebody else who want to start something new with me, they can apologize in their time. But for you, get the fuck out of here. They continued to compile hits.
He said, noon. Nope, too late.
Yes,
11:59, right on time to apologize.
He was an 11:59 a.m. U.S. apology kind of guy. It's a very good point. And then he had more and more songs. I can't name any other. What are other One Republic songs?
Stop and Stare.
Stop and Stare was one, but what was the one? There was
I can't pull up the
in my brain I keep doing.
I'm reaching for the files.
Honey, I'm good, but I know that's not them.
That's not One Republic.
That's crazy.
But like, it's bad enough that it could be One Republic.
One Republic.
One Republic
wasn't bad. It was just like a overproduced. So you got Counting Stars.
Counting Stars is the one I was thinking of.
Okay. I Don't Want to Wait.
So Counting Stars is the same thing as No, Honey, I'm Good. Is in terms of like, that song's fucking stupid.
Fair.
We already got super chats.
Holy smokes!
$30 for 30. You remembered. If people are wondering, by the way, so the I Ain't Worried, they have a song called I Ain't Worried. It's in the Top Gun Maverick soundtrack. They play on the beach. I ain't worried about it right now. Oil men right now are not worried. They shouldn't have been worried at any point. But great night of hockey. Great night in sports. I kind of have gone back and forth. Sean, initially, I said I wanted Caitlin Clark to come out, score a bajillion points, own the league. I like that it kind of swallowed her up for a little bit.
Didn't happen. Turn the game off at halftime. I went back to hockey.
You said, fuck this?
Yeah. It was just like, I was there to see Caitlin Clark tear shit up, and that clearly wasn't happening. So I was just like, okay, I'll give her time. Like, either it's going to take her time to get used to the league, or she was going to show up and dominate. Game one, she didn't dominate. That's fine.
Our girl was out there slipping on banana peels.
What'd she finish with?
20 points, 10 turnovers.
Well, I will say first
double.
First half, first like 5 minutes of the game, she had like 5 assist opportunities that her teammates were just simply not good enough to do anything with. Like, she was making behind the back passes and shit, and they were missing layups.
Welcome back.
We're already making excuses for Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Hate to see it.
I mean, she just might be better. She just might be too good.
I get annoyed when people do that. This happened yesterday when I forget who was talking to Stuart Skinner on the bench, where they were like giving him a pep talk.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, you don't fucking know he's giving a pep. There was, I want to say it was like at the half, Aaliyah Boston was kind of in Caitlin Clark's face, and they were like, Aaliyah Boston telling her, stick with it, I'm like, we don't fucking know that. They were rivals in college. She could be like, you're not about to fucking tank my season, you dummy. You better play better.
Well, I don't think Aaliyah Boston is worried about the Indiana Fever season being tanked.
They suck so bad.
They just had the first overall draft pick. But they interviewed Aaliyah Boston. They had her mic'd up during like pregame warmups, and she was like going through drills, being like, "Yeah, we're just trying to protect Caitlin. Like we're telling her all this stuff, and like having like a conversation with the commentators while doing drills." It was very
That's not my Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah.
I want my Aaliyah Boston to be a little more demonstrative and be like,
no, Aaliyah Boston's a very like even keeled person, I feel like. Because they were like trying to make jokes with her, and she was just like, I'm playing basketball.
But just like the way she plays, man, like I want her to be top dog there. and Caitlin Clark to be like the better player who is like she can be they can have a Draisaitl McDavid thing going on. But it was a great night in sports. The Boston Bruins famously weren't dead, still aren't dead. They get a Game 5 win. People were playing that Bon Jovi. People are giving super chats for $13 because of the 13 shots prediction. Yeah. Sean, do you have that clip?
Yes, I do.
Play it.
Just fucking shoot it from anywhere.
Can I say this? If the Bruins have 13 shots on goal in the first period tonight, they will win the game. That is my ironclad guarantee.
That's like an unrealistic expectation at
10
this
shots
point.
on.
If the Bruins get 13 shots on goal in the first period, they're winning the Stanley Cup.
13 shots on goal, exactly, for your Boston Bruins in the first period.
It's incredible.
And they won the game.
Shout out to the Boston Bruins, the 2024 Stanley Cup champions. You'd love to see it.
I don't think that this series is over. So I'm not going to say that they can't win the Stanley Cup.
I don't think they're gonna. I said yesterday, I didn't want the Bruins to win that game unless they kicked Florida's ass. And you know what? I changed my mind because that felt awesome. And I've completely kind of I've readjusted my view on the series. You win yesterday's game. They had a great game. Awesome defensive effort. We'll get into that in a little bit. But like, it's just a really, really respectable effort from the Bruins that I was waiting for. And now, even if they fucking lose Game 6, yeah, it's going to hurt. But losing in 6 to the Florida Panthers, that's respectable as well. And I don't think the series is over. I think that was a galvanizing victory for the Boston Bruins. And I wanted something to wash the taste out of my mouth from Game 5, and that was perfect.
It's a jumping off point because there have been 3 games this series that the Panthers have outplayed the Bruins. And you could say the Panthers are the better roster than the Bruins. They definitely are. There have been 3 games that the Panthers have outplayed the Bruins. There have been 2 that the Bruins have outplayed the Panthers. And this is a series where the better team has won every game. I don't think the Bruins were much better than the Panthers. I think the Panthers in the last couple of periods came back, which has been a thing this entire series, short of, I want to say it was Game 3 or 4 when the Bruins really poured it on in the third period, whatever the game was where Lauko turned it on and DeBrusk had a great, like, other than that, it's been the Panthers have kind of kept coming at the Bruins and kept coming at them, and they almost tied it last night. Jeremy Swayman at the end of the game was really good for the Bruins on a night that I didn't think that Jeremy Swayman was amazing, but it's a jumping off point. They now have momentum going back to Boston. Brad Marchand maybe comes back, and there hasn't been a game this series where the Bruins have like really kicked the Panthers' ass, but maybe that comes on Friday.
It's worth pointing out, I mean, you mentioned that over the final 40, they made a push. I don't always live and die by natural stat trick in the way that they score things, but they had the Bruins holding the Florida Panthers to 0 high danger chances in the first and third periods of that game.
Yeah, that was wrong.
5-on-5.
That was wrong. Well, it's 5-on-5. Well, when the goalie was
6-on-5,
yeah, right.
right.
6-on-5. Like Swayman had to make a couple of big saves.
Right.
So,
like at the end of the game, they definitely had a surge, and I was worried. But the Bruins played a very strong game at 5-on-5. Where I'm concerned is the power play still looks like absolute dog shit. They're taking too many penalties. Another too many men, a 6th too many men this postseason. You got to figure that shit out. But at 5-on-5, I thought they looked much better. They were winning battles. Like, they were really strong on the walls. They were quick to clear the defensive zone. They didn't fail the exits and the clears as much as they did previously in the series. I thought their passes were really, really good in the first period and got a little bit less crisp as the game went on. But altogether, I think that was like their strongest 5-on-5 effort of the series by far.
what did you think of Jeremy Swayman?
I didn't think that he was as bad as you seem to. His rebound control, not amazing, but
His rebound control was bad. That was his first. And I know that he's had games where he's allowed more goals and everything. That was the most tired he's looked, which should make sense because it's the latest in the series and he's played more than he ever has. That was a game where you're thankful that you have Jeremy Swayman because he's a player who has a B game. And we're going to talk about Oilers coming out. Like Stu Skinner, the reason he's sitting right now is he does not have a B game. Butch Cassidy used to say that about Malcolm Subban. When he was in Providence, he'd be like, yeah, his problem is he doesn't have a B game. If he isn't like on, he's off and he kind of stinks. Jeremy Swayman, I didn't think was as sharp as he's been at points in this series or this postseason, and he still only allowed one goal. The one goal that he allowed, he wouldn't have allowed in games past because he would have gloved that forcing shot before, and he gives up that rebound there. They keep it in the zone. There ends up being a little chaos in front of the net. Swayman has another opportunity to tie it up, and it goes in. I'm not getting on him because he allowed one goal. I'm saying this is the other side of a guy standing on his head. He's doing everything for your team. But because he has a B game, he allows one goal and stays in it and battles through it. I thought he was fighting it a little bit last night, but he fucking fought it and won. So the Bruins finally have 2 games off. They need that, 2 days off. They very badly need that. And I was texting with you and Katie last night. I would just give him a sick day and tell him, like, here, go home, eat some mashed potatoes, drink Gatorade, whatever you fucking want, watch trashy TV, unplug, because Friday's going to be big.
I want to mention Charlie McAvoy finally got on the board. Great goal. Charlie McAvoy looked pretty good. Pretty good. He also had a massive play in the third period on the wall that allowed them to clear on the 6-on-5, which was fucking huge. Charlie McAvoy, dumped on him so many times this postseason. Got to give him credit for a good game. But it would be fucking nice to get a good game at the same time from Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but fuck.
Hampus Lindholm stinks in the playoffs.
With the exception of Game 7, you have to point out big Game 7. They wouldn't even be here without Hampus Lindholm. But fuck, man, that too many men. They could have been totally fucked on that too many men because there were 2 penalties. You could have called the Hampus Lindholm for the trip on that too many men sequence. So Hampus Lindholm, get your shit together, please. And we also have to talk about
No, not done with that.
Go. Okay.
Jim Montgomery, I was told you'd be grabbing pants. I know that's Hampus Lindholm's fault, but they have 6 too many men penalties this postseason. He said, I will grab players' pants before I let them go out on the ice and jump early. Fucking, what happened to grabbing pants, bud?
The problem is I forget who it was. It might have been Peak called for the change and Hampus.
But then the play continued, so you have to have that awareness. Grab the pants.
But Lindholm can easily not try to make a play there.
It's 100% Lindholm's fault, and it 10%
don't need to grab the pants.
By
so
grabbing pants.
I'm not blaming Jim Montgomery.
He shouldn't have to grab pants, but he said it's gotten so bad I'm going to grab pants. Sir, your hands were empty last night.
Okay, we got to talk about the goaltender interference, the Danton Heinen goaltender interference. What was your read on it?
It was goaltender interference.
Do you think so? Like,
yes,
I was definitely.
He fucking hit his pad in the crease, hit his leg, and I know that that's not why he dropped his stick, but that is goaltender interference. There is not a chance in hell it was going to be called goaltender interference. That makeup call was owed. It wasn't as bad a goaltender interference as Bennett in Game 4, but that was goaltender interference. It wasn't going to be called goaltender interference. There's a thing that Bruins fans are doing right now, which is they haven't gotten all the calls, and when you don't get all the calls, then every single call turns into like, oh, well, here we go again. They did it on Luosterainen when Lohrei took him down at the end of that horrible fucking power play. That's a fucking penalty. He's going to be called for that.
The one that was worth complaining about was the Charlie Coyle hook, which was just nonsense. The Heinen thing, the Heinen thing, I agree that like when you get your stick into the skate of the goaltender, and especially in the blue paint, that is goaltender interference. Where after a few replays, I kind of changed my position. He had plenty of time to reset for the shot, and I don't think that the Heinen stick was made enough of a significant difference to Bobrovsky's position that didn't allow him to reset for the McAvoy shot. So I think that it's a judgment call. I don't think that it's very much black and white. It's way less black and white than the Bennett one, like you mentioned. But I could see either side. I initially said that I thought that it was goaltender interference because I thought Heinen's stick got Bobrovsky's stick, in which case that would have been 1,000% goaltender interference. But after seeing it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson who knocked the stick out, I do think Bobrovsky had enough time to reset and make the save.
And that's where the judgment call thing comes in. And that's why they were never going to call it goaltender interference
100%.
because they were so owed a makeup call there. But to the black and whiteness of it is, did he interfere with the goaltender in the crease on a scoring play? The answer is yes. So if you wanted to make it black and white, then that's goaltender interference, just like Sam Bennett was goaltender interference last game. But there's no way that with what happened in 100%. Boston, they were going to call that goaltender interference.
You actually think that's how that works? Like, you really think that they're making
a makeup call?
Like that in the situation? Like, I
1,000%.
Yes, in the moment.
1,000%. Yes.
I don't buy that at all.
1,000%.
So then why wasn't it? So then why wasn't it? Was it the fucking song and dance Pete just did?
Yeah, I think he had plenty of time to reset. I don't think that. Like, I don't think the contact that was made with him in the crease did anything to prevent him from making.
I think that if Heinen was the one to knock Bob's stick out,
100% agree.
No, I'm saying I think if he was the one to knock that stick out and it was 1,000% goaltender interference, I still think they would have counted the goal.
No,
I absolutely think they still would have counted the goal.
It was a heat check from Paul Maurice to challenge that. Like, what do you fucking think is going to happen, bud? There's no way.
Curious. Whenever challenges like that happen, I'm very curious who made the call, because our friend Petey was a video coach. One of his big gripes oftentimes is coaches ignoring the video coach, because the video coach has replays and they'll tell them, do not challenge this, and coaches will be like, go fuck yourself, I'm challenging it anyways, and then they end up losing. So I'm very curious who ultimately made that call, but I understand why you challenge it, but I don't think it was goaltender interference, and I refuse to live in a world in which anybody in the NHL is making calls for any reason other than the fact that they think it's the right call.
Oh my God, Sean!
Yeah, that is such a
naive.
It's such an idealistic way to look at it.
Because I'm tired of this conspiracy theory bullshit that Bruins fans have been peddling all playoffs.
No, that is bullshit. Like, there's no way the league wants
That's also
Florida.
the welcome to being a sports fan, buddy.
Yeah.
And like Bruins fans do that for sure. As I said, with the low ride thing, oh my God, no, they're doing this. You still can't take penalties.
Right.
You'll be called for penalties, you fucking idiots. And it waters down your argument on like the Sam Bennett thing. There's two bullshit things that happen involving Sam Bennett. Keep complaining about those when you say, oh, and now the Charlie Coyle hook. Bullshit. The other things, though, when you say, oh, you're going to call us for this? Well, yeah, you can't commit penalties.
Even the one where I forget whose stick got caught up high, and then McAvoy skated into the stick, and like two Bruins players got like a stick up high. That's not high sticking. It's not. McAvoy skated into a stick. Like, it's just not high sticking.
I agree. That was so ridiculous.
But so for the goaltender interference, I think that's goaltender interference in the regular season. I don't think that they're going to call that in the playoffs, and I definitely don't think they're going to call it on the game after the Bruins got absolutely fucking hosed on a obvious goaltender interference. So I'd never thought that goal was going to get taken off the board, and I don't think that it should have been taken off the board based off the circumstances.
The worst crime there was that Florida lost that challenge, and then we had to witness the worst power play we've ever seen from the Bruins. So for all the anger that came from the Bruins during that game, we'll talk about Jim Montgomery in just a minute. He was fantastic. What a fascinating guy that is. For all the anger and for all the lamenting that happened with the Luosterainen thing, the Bruins got outshot 3-0 on a power play on which they could have put the game away, on which they could have made it 3-1, and then that would have been it, because while Swayman, as I said, rebound control wasn't great, they were playing better defensively in front of him. I would have thought that game was, I already thought it was over once they got 13 shots on goal, but that was their opportunity to really bear down and put the game away, and it was the worst power play I've ever seen in my life.
And not to, like, it ended with a Florida power play.
Yes.
So I agree. Like, if you get a if you win a challenge, or I guess if the other team loses the challenge and you get an ensuing power play and convert on that power play, that's so fucking demoralizing. Their power play needs to absolutely get it together, which brings me to this question. Do you consider messing with the defensive group heading into Game 6? Because their defensive group had a really, really good game. But I do think part of it, like, they miss Kevin Shattenkirk on the power play. But, like, I don't know if I would mess with the six that they ran out there for
defensively.
Game 5.
All I care about if I'm the Bruins in Game 6, there is one assignment and one job. All it is Sasha Barkov. Just whatever you fucking need to do. If you need to go Lindholm, McAvoy, if you need to do whatever you need to do, like neutralize Sasha Barkov and take your chances 5-on-5. You're going to lose the depth battle there, but you know what? Sometimes things are weird. You're going to have Marchand in the lineup, so who knows? All I care about defensively is neutralize Sasha Barkov and then do whatever the fuck you want with the rest of it. I'd like Shattenkirk to be in there regularly, but I also understand you're picking from a group of underwhelming players.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to point out, like, they haven't scored with Shattenkirk on the power play yet this postseason either. I just think they look a little bit better, and his biggest strength is being on the power play. I also would like to see the Bruins convert on a breakaway because holy fuck.
Bob was the best.
He was so good last night.
At the end of the game, I think Jeremy Swayman earned the maybe better goaltender or like bigger moment, whatever. Bob was awesome last night, and I think he's been underwhelming / untested this entire series. He was great last night. Multiple breakaways. I thought the biggest save of the game wasn't the one on DeBrusk. It was that DeBrusk was basically just throwing it at him to create a rebound. Mm-hmm. Who else had a terrible breakaway?
That would be one Pavel Zacha.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Stinks.
No, that's gonna happen. Zacha, I actually kind of liked Zacha last night. Third line center. God bless.
He has a breakaway and fucking takes a limp dick wrister from the dot.
He's so fucking lost now, though, that like I'll take any signs of progress I can get out of him. I feel bad for him at this point. And I said it last night after the game, like the chickens have been coming home to roost with the Bruins centers wise, but Morgan Geekie was your first line center last night, and not only did you win the game, he scored a goal for you. Massive hats off. Like my gold stars for last night go to Jeremy Swayman for sticking to it in a game where I didn't think he was at his best. Charlie McAvoy for having 6 more shots on goal than he's had in any game this series by having 6 shots on goal. And Morgan Geekie. Like, good for that fucking guy.
Geekie rocks. Yeah, there were 2 points in that game last night where I thought the Bruins might lose. It was when Bob made the save on Frederick, the secondary chance off the DeBrusk breakaway. Do you remember, like, he made the initial save, and then Frederick, like, I can't believe that he made that
that's
save
what I was saying. Like,
Frederick.
DeBrusk was just throwing it on him so to get Frederick a chance.
And then the turnover that led to Pasternak's chance right in front, that Pasternak ended up sliding it through Bob's legs. He had, like, the whole left side of the net open and went back across the body. I thought that the Bruins are going to lose after they didn't convert on those 2 chances because, like, to hold the Panthers to 1 goal is an unrealistic expectation if you're the Bruins. So I needed a fucking third goal from that team, and it just didn't matter. But fuck, what a good game for the Bruins to get back in the series.
I'll push back on the chatter who said DJ says that people are either good or bad with no in between. I was explaining why Jeremy Swayman was literally
you did a good
his B game
is better than most.
Yeah, and I don't think that anybody. So I said after I thought that I was going to be like an asshole by being like, "Hey, Bruins won when Swayman wasn't at his best," and like everybody, I haven't heard anybody be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Swayman was awesome." The only people I heard being like, "Holy fuck, was Swayman good last night?" was the ESPN broadcast, which was, I don't think we have enough time today to do broadcast talk. ESPN broadcasts recently, stonks back down.
Yeah.
Weeks horrible on that Oilers game last night.
It honestly
don't know what Callahan was watching in the Bruins game.
It honestly felt like they were trying to jinx Jeremy Swayman.
Yes. Like after he's given up like rebound after rebound after rebound, they're like, man, he's in a zone, isn't he? I'm like, he is, but doesn't it kind of look like it's going to break? Are we crazy? God bless Jeremy Swayman, though, man.
He just didn't need to have his A game yesterday because I don't think that they gave up a ton. Like, he didn't have to stand on his head until the end of the game.
I think that you're crediting the team. I think that people come out of these things and they're like, did they score goals? Did the goalie stop the goals? Okay, and I think that your point that defensively they were much better represented than in past games should be taken strongly because they were a lot better defensively. And Charlie McAvoy, I reject the thing of, you know what, he really started to find his game in game 4 through a big hit blah, blah, like that could have ended the series. If that penalty got called, they could have been fucked.
And like I disagree with like dissecting Charlie McAvoy's impact to individial plays, or like he's too good of a player.
Right. Like, did they have a number one defenseman last night?
Right.
I kind of think so.
Yes, agree. Like he's not some fucking bottom of the roster player that you're like, well, he did some things well and otherwise it looked kind of shit, but like you're starting to see signs. That's not what you need from Charlie McAvoy. You need Charlie McAvoy to be good, and he was finally good.
Well, do you know what I need to be good? My eyesight. I don't want, when I'm outside, I was rollerblading yesterday, and I don't want, oh no, the sun's in my eyes. What am I going to do? You know that happens. Everyone's walking around. People, you're walking down the street. Someone say, excuse me, sir. What are you doing about the sun? It's in my eyes.
I can't tell you how many times I've been hit by a car because the sun has been in my eyes and I can't see and I just walk into the streets.
You say, you ever done these before?
Sunglasses? I sure have.
Sunglasses. That you put them right on. They're just like glasses. And then you say, you could say, hey, I can't see anything without my glasses. And you do stuff like that. These are sunglasses. And basically, they look like glasses. And the company, which is Shady Rays, they're my preferred sunglass manufacturer. They put these, I guess you call them like lenses. They put them in these little frames, and they've got like a real structure to them. They kind of fall on your ear, and then they go against your head. And not only do they help with UV protection and making these spring days and upcoming summer days so
Sean,
nice.
can we get some close-ups on these sunglasses?
I think they look good as well. Is this?
Yeah.
This is kind of my look.
Very much matches your outfit.
That's true.
I'm dressed very oil man-y today. I have like, today I would say I have like a modern plain view look. Kind of.
I
Still
agree.
got the duck boots on.
What's interesting is that Shady Rays has like a million different types of sunglasses. They said, go to the website, pick out some sunglasses. It was extremely stressful because it's hard to shop for sunglasses online, and it's very hard when there's a million different things to choose from. I feel like we ended up picking like each other's style. That's definitely more my type of style, and this is definitely your kind of style.
Yeah, this is kind of the more Wayfarer. That I don't even know what that one would be. It's not Aviators, but it's like I actually have. I won't say other brands, but I have some shades that are that style.
Yeah.
But these Shady Rays, I love them so much. And the reason I can wear them rollerblading is, what happens if you fall down? First of all, don't even need to knock on wood. I never fall down when rollerblading.
Can't say the same. You remember when we were rollerblading in LA and I was like going downhill and I jumped into a bush?
Oh yeah,
I couldn't stop.
Well, I kind of protectively threw you into a bush because it was better than the alternative.
Me like just steamrolling a child or something.
Right. But say I took a tumble, or even if I say I'm loving loving rollerblading so much, I'm just going to throw these in the ocean. Every pair of Shady Rays is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over, get this, 300,000 people.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Chad says I look like a cop. Think I look like a cop in these sunglasses?
Because maybe.
Okay, nice. You talked about wanting to protect your eyes, but how about wanting to protect your gut? Because gut health is very important, and that's why I take my AG1.
Don't want to cut
every
your gut.
morning. Don't cut your gut. AG1 is an incredible and smart way to start your day. All you need to do, take a little scoop of that green powder, dump it in a little bit of water, shake it up, drink it down, and guess what? You got a little bit more energy. You're protecting your gut. You're supporting your immune system, all that important stuff. If you're getting older, like us, just like you gotta take care of yourself. Healthy aging is really, really important. And since drinking AG1 daily, feel a little bit better, feel a little bit more focused. You get your vitamins, your probiotics, helps your immune system, energy, all that good stuff. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited that they're a partner on this show. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/whatchaos. That's drinkag1.com/whatchaos. Check it out.
Okay, let's get to a guest. It's Thomas Drance of The Athletic, and The Offspring says, Drance, sucker Drance, you never had a chance. What do you think of the Canucks' chance the rest of the way in this series, bud?
Well, I think it would be great if they didn't do the reverse horse meme. You know that horse meme where the start of it is really detailed and then it falls off and becomes a child drawing at the end? The Canucks are doing that, but in reverse. They don't show up for 58 minutes, couldn't find the offensive zone with a map at Rogers Place last night, and then they score a 6-on-5 goal and somehow tie it up only to have a heartbreaking Evan Bouchard goal going against them with 38 seconds to play. Tough one. You could see how emotional Canucks players were post-game. This Oilers team has a lot of firepower. Like, there's no question that the Canucks just missed a pretty important shot in a series that they're in. It's tied, right? Both of Vancouver's losses have just been by a single goal. And yet, Edmonton's outshot them by 30 at 5-on-5 across these 4 games. In every single game they've played, there's been at least a 20-minute stretch, a 25-minute stretch where Edmonton just completely throttles them. The discrepancy in the caliber of these two teams has been apparent, laid plain for all to see. And yet, can Edmonton beat the Canucks 2 of 3 with Calvin Pickard in net, right? Like, can they finally get to playing the sort of mistake-free hockey, the focused hockey that they actually brought for the first time all series in Game 4? Can they do that 2 more times? It's an open question for sure, because this Canucks team definitely is more focused, more bought in, and frankly, they've been more clutch, right? They've been able to do more with what opportunities they've received in this series. So that's kind of the dynamic. A classic sort of scrappy underdog versus overwhelming juggernaut with significant flaws type best of 3 here between the Canucks and the Oilers.
You mentioned tough one. Nice tweet last night, by the way.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, look, obviously, it's not a prediction. It's not like I was predicting that the Canucks may never lose again, but they were so dead in the water when Brock Besser tied that up. At least it looked like Brock Besser to me at the time. It actually went into the net off Dakota Joshua's skate. So it's Joshua's goal. But, they were so dead in the water until they get that double deflection bounce past Pickard. And I sort of thought to myself, there was a moment earlier in the season where a Canucks player sort of yelled that after the Canucks swept through the 3 New York teams, right? And really put on a show. Like, there were big, incredible goals scored by all of Vancouver's best players. And, I've been a little bit critical of this team, to put it mildly, in the past. And, I walked into the locker room and I had a Canucks player just yell out, we may never lose again, print that. But they were mostly just messing with me. And for whatever reason, when the Canucks scored and I was like, man, they're going to pull this off again, that comment came to me. And so I tweeted it just sort of tongue firmly in cheek. And then the reactions after the fact, including the "there will be blood" tweet from you gentlemen, I was crying laughing. Like, that was one of those ice cold takes that you're not even upset about. You're just laughing at the pandemonium as it sort of unfolds on what you thought was an innocuous tweet when you sent it.
So I like your move. You're passing the buck. You're blaming somebody else for saying it. And then you're like, hey, I am but a simple reporter.
Yes, I'm simply chronicling what I see and hear.
Just trying to get the spirit of the thing.
I will say, because Canucks fans are so unhinged, someone was like, Drance is such a healthy young man. He may never get sick again. And I was
Oh
like,
no, Jesus.
whoa. Like,
Well,
dude, let's calm down. Anyway.
Well, that's a good segue into what has been, I think, the most heated and hate-filled series of the playoffs so far. The Canucks and Oilers fan bases fucking hate each other, and seemingly so do the players, because there's been a lot of bullshit going on in this series. Did you anticipate sort of how nasty it would be both on and off the ice heading into the series?
Oh, yeah. And I knew, because the Oilers have this like atomic power play, right? I actually genuinely believe, because the Oilers haven't had that many power play opportunities in this series. I genuinely believe that their power play is like 10% too good. Okay. And what I mean by that is it's so good that I actually don't think they get as many calls as they should, because NHL officials don't want to like decide the game. They feel like they're putting their finger on the scale a little too much, given the way that team operates 5-on-4. Like, I actually think it's almost too good to be optimal, right? They would be better off. They'd score more goals on their brilliant, best in history power play if it was like 5 to 10% less effective. It's a genuine thing, I believe, having watched this series to this point. But the dynamic of that power play ensured, right, that every call and the consequences of it would be magnified to an absurd extent, right? Like, I knew coming into this series that every whistle that got blown would be widely complained about in both markets. And I knew, too, that the Canucks, with the way that they defend and with the way they interfere with players in particular, right? Like, this Canucks team, they throw a lot of picks on just about every breakout. And they play pretty physical defense, especially blue line in. So, I sort of knew that the way that Vancouver's style and approach would match with, the potency of the Oilers' power play, and then the penchant of every Canadian market to complain wildly about calls, to just create sort of a tinderbox environment. And then, of course, Canucks Twitter, we all know. I mean, you guys are in Boston. You remember 2011, which was like the advent of social media. I mean, there's no way. Like, you guys have had Bruins series against like Habs Twitter, right? I mean, you guys have covered 15 years of playoffs. I mean, do you remember there being as much animosity as what you saw in 2011?
Physically, I was scared of Canucks fans in 2011 because one ran up to me. They like got into an area where they shouldn't have been in Vancouver and was like, "Where's Milbury?" And I was like, "You think I'm hiding Mike Milbury?" And they're like, "Where is he? Where's Milbury?" Because I think Milbury called them gay or something. I don't know what he said. I don't think he said gay. He said the Sedin girl. He said something like not great. Sorry, Mike Milbury.
Hey, no, he didn't say it, but he implied it, right? And I mean, that's the point. The fact is that you don't want to mess with Canucks Twitter. You can already see Oilers fans capitulating online. They're like, "Whoa, we didn't realize what we'd stepped into. This is an absolute hornet's nest." But that's the case. That's how it goes. Like, we all know what hockey Twitter is. It's the worst. Like, true sickos across the board. And yet, very much like Bane voice, right? Like, a hockey Twitter might have borrowed the darkness, but like Canucks fans were born into it. Like, this is what Vancouver hockey Twitter does. And I mean, they brought their A game without question in this series.
I didn't know that they had it like that. Do they hate you?
Oh yeah. But like,
okay.
I'm also from them. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain, right? I think that's sort of the key formulation here, to channel another Batman reference. Which is appropriate because everyone on Canucks Twitter seems to think they're like the Dark Knight.
Who do they like?
Defending the Canucks hockey team. They like the fact they like each other when they're attacking other fan bases, but not when the team is bad and they just attack one another. That's really the answer. Yeah, it's look, it's an interesting mix. Here's the fact of the matter, though, right? Like, Vancouver is so different from every other hockey market on the planet because all the other Canadian fan bases are like, with the exception of Montreal, where it's split between English and French speaking media. So it's sort of like two smaller pools that combine into one, and two sort of smaller fan bases that combine into one big fan base. You know, like there's like a certain level of respect, a certain level of respect, I think, that the rest of Canada tends to show in terms of their hockey consumption habits, right? Like in terms of the storylines they want, right? The way that the Canucks are covered in Vancouver is very much like the NFL or college football or the NBA are covered in the United States, which is a way we don't usually see the NHL covered, right? So it's like every day you've got the classic, like, Elias Pettersson struggling. Like, what should they do with him? Should he be scratched? Should he be traded? Right? Like very much like you see, that they do on ESPN when they do Lakers content, like whatever the Lakers story of the day. JJ Redick, he'll be cynically like, it's that level of scrutiny applied to the Canucks in a way that just like does not happen in the rest of Canada and does not happen in the United States for NHL teams. So it's like an American style of coverage, which the rest of Canada doesn't really follow, but all of it focused like a laser on one team in a relatively robust, like 2.5 million people media market. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's super fun to be a part of, but it's a lot. And I do think when other fan bases get exposed to it, as Oilers fans have found out, it can be a dizzying experience.
Culture shock.
Yeah.
100%.
You mentioned Elias Pettersson and some of the heat that he's been getting. Obviously not having a good playoff run so far. 1 goal, 3 assists in 10 games. They've been outscored 2-5 with him on the ice at 5-on-5. He's been playing most of his time with Nils Höglander, who has 1 assist in 8 games, Ilya Mikheyev, 0 points in 10 games, and Sam Lafferty, 0 points in 10 games. So diagnose the problems with Elias Pettersson right now, because is it his fault? Is it the guys that he's playing with? Is it a mixture of both? Like, what are you seeing from Elias Pettersson? What is the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing enough. The thing about a player like Pettersson is, there we go. He's so imperious and impactful and intelligent. He impacts the game in so many different ways, and it's so quiet around him right now, right? And that's real, and that's about his individual contributions. That said, the environment that he's being played in 5-on-5 is not doing him any favors. Nils Höglander, a 24 goal scorer during the regular season, has struggled in his sort of first appearance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, last night he plays with Sam Lafferty and Ilya Mikheyev, and those two gentlemen have combined for 4 goals across their last 95 games, playoffs and regular season included. And, that's tough. And then people will do the old, well, he's a star player, he should be elevating his line mates. And it's like, yeah, but go look at what those players have produced playing with Pettersson over the last couple of years. Like they've all produced numbers unthinkable at any other stage of their career. So, he's doing it, but he doesn't really have enough to work with. And that said, his shot, he hasn't been a willing enough shooter ever since the first 2 games against the Predators when they were blocking everything, right? He had like 9 attempts in that second game and didn't get a single one through. And ever since then, it's seemed like he's been gun shy on his release. He's not getting the same torque or power on his release, which is one of the reasons why his injury status or his health has been widely speculated about in this marketplace. And, his 2-way game is still fine. Like, he's still good defensively. There's still things he's doing well, including winning a key draw on the sequence that ultimately led to the Besser shot, which deflected in off Joshua's skate last night. But he's not doing the loud, skilled, dual threat, dynamic stuff we're used to seeing from him. And, that's a problem. Like in this series alone, Pettersson's mostly faced bottom 6 competition, and he's not winning he's not winning. Like, the Canucks are not winning his minutes against Derek Ryan and Ryan McLeod. You're not beating the Oilers if that's the case. Like, you're just not. And so they need more. There's no question about it.
Pete made the astute observation the other day that we all expected the winner of Dallas Avalanche to come out of it battered and bruised from how grueling a physical series it would be. And that one ends up looking at being kind of a cakewalk for Dallas. And it's Edmonton, Vancouver, that's the one where people are going to come out of it dead. I think that point is no better made than by looking at the fact that Canucks are trying to fucking kill Matthias Ekholm. And I think that is a smart strategy for them, because they must think the only way we get, like, obviously you want to neutralize McDavid. Obviously you want to find a way to stop Draisaitl or Hyman or Nugent-Hopkins or Bouchard on the power play. But if there's one guy that they should want to be really, really physical with, it probably is Ekholm. And we saw it on the Elias Lindholm play where Ekholm thought that it was icing. It wasn't. Smoked him, lit him up. I thought he was dead. Juleson last night in the neutral zone smokes him after he makes the pass to Nugent-Hopkins, which leads to a goal. Do you think that there is some kind of strategy there to, we got to really be in this guy's kitchen?
I think there's a strategy to try and wear down that Oilers top pair. I think you can see them going at Bouchard pretty hard as well. And why not? I mean, the Oilers with those 5 guys on the ice, it's something to see, all right? It's something to see. And if you can in any way wear that down, that Oilers sort of top pair, that'll only pay dividends as the series goes along. I love the way that Oilers 5-man unit plays. By the way, like, one thing I love to watch is, they'll sort of regroup with McDavid as the puck carrier through the neutral zone. And the moment he gets the puck, both defensemen have a green light and both of them take it at the same time. Like, it's unlike anything you'll see anywhere else in hockey. It almost looks like a roller hockey breakout, but they're just options. Like, they have so much faith in McDavid as this puck carrier through the neutral zone, and why wouldn't they? That those guys just go on attack the moment he touches the puck in those situations. It's a blast. And if you can in any way, whittle down on that advantage, if you can in any way be in their head when they're going back for pucks, or, just in terms of wearing down an older defenseman who's vital to what the Oilers do well, you got to take that opportunity. That Lindholm line, right? They've been playing physical all series. Garland doesn't give an inch. Like, he's undersized, but man, looks like an absolute pain in the neck to try and check or share the ice with. Dakota Joshua is obviously a horse. And Elias Lindholm's like a much sort of grittier player, I think, than a lot of people realize. And so that line's been able to extract, I think, a physical toll on the Oilers, even though they haven't been able to, like, drive play or spend a lot of time in the offensive zone the way I think the Canucks need them to if they're going to win this series. To this point, they've really just thrown a lot of hits and come up big offensively in big moments. Now, by no means am I being critical of their performance, but given the way that Edmonton's top 6 is just dictating play every time they're on the ice 5-on-5, I do think at some point that line's going to need to start to string together some heavy shifts, or they can throw as many hits on Ekholm as they want. It's going to be the Canucks who get worn down.
I wanted to ask you, Artur Shilovs has been one of the best stories of this playoff so far. We to the point where, like, we're not hearing anything about Thatcher Demko anymore. Like, in the first round, everybody was like, what's the status of Thatcher Demko? When is he going to be able to come back? Do you think at this point it is Shilovs' net until the Vancouver Canucks are out, unless the bottom kind of falls up for Shilovs? And do you anticipate things going much more south than what they've been for Shilovs to this point?
So in terms of what we're hearing about Demko, I'd expect business to pick up this week. So the Canucks have a team day off today, but I was watching him skate after the Canucks morning skate on Tuesday, and I was pretty surprised by how dynamic some of the physical movements that he was going through with Ian Clark were. Like, I'm talking about a guy dropping into the butterfly and moving laterally on the ice along his knees. Now, I don't know enough about goaltending to specify whether or not it was like a wide butterfly or not. It didn't look to be at like full pace in terms of the reps, but he was pushing into the post too. And that's a pretty advanced level to be at, given the fact that he sustained an additional knee injury, just under a month ago, 3 weeks ago now. That it was a second non-contact injury in the same knee in a 6-week stretch. So I was pretty surprised by that. It was still a recovery skate. He wasn't being like shot. He wasn't facing shooters, even among like the scratches. Like it wasn't a dynamic environment. It wasn't a practice environment. It was more of a rehab or an individual drill style environment. But it looked advanced enough that I'm really interested to see what and whether or not he might join the full group, or at least join the rinse group of scratches following the Canucks morning skate on Thursday. If he does, I don't know that he'd necessarily be an option yet for a game presumably set to be played on Monday of next week, if necessary, which would be Game 7. But it looks to me like he's getting a lot closer than I would have imagined he might, even as recently as 48 hours ago. Like this was a more advanced looking set of drills than I would have expected to see from him, just given sort of what he's been through injury-wise over the course of the last 8 weeks. So anyway, in terms of what the club will do with Shilovs, I thought last night was his best game, right? Like it was only his second loss, and yet I thought it was far more impressive than a lot of the work he's put in some of the 4 wins, perhaps with the exception of the Game 6 shutout in Nashville that punched Vancouver's ticket to the second round. I thought he was awesome. Just dynamic, decisive, calm. I thought he withstood some pretty withering persistence from the Oilers. Attacking players made some stellar saves. Keyed Vancouver's ability to come back and level the score, in part because that game probably should have been 4 or 5-0, 50 minutes into the contest. He's been awesome. And I think he's been at such a high level that it does sort of complicate the Demko question, even if he is cleared to return, because like how close to 100% does Demko need to be at this point to supplant Shilovs? Like, I don't think it's 90%. I think it's probably higher than that. I think you've got to get pretty close to 100% at this point before you're replacing Shilovs in net, just given how reliable he's been and given the fact that he clearly has the confidence of this group of players. You can even tell just in the reaction that he has and that his teammates have when goals go in. There's no shrugs. There's no, there's none of that. Like, it's very clear that they think that he gives them a chance to win. And that matters so much at this time of year, especially when you're a fill-in goaltender, the way that he has been, or at least as he was before he entered this series and kind of caught fire.
I mean, my respect goes up for him because he's an absolute fucking psychopath for going for that 50-50 puck with Kane in the third period in a 1-goal game. What a fucking maniac. Love him. And it's been a great series, and we'll enjoy these final 2 games of it. We appreciate you, Thomas Drance. Thank you very much for joining us. You can read him in The Athletic.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. Had a blast.
All right, bye-bye. I'm an oil man. We got to also talk about, you mentioned like there's the BS going on with the fans and everything, but just with the players, there were 2 moments in that game that were so fucking great. The Lindholm and Draisaitl thing, where Elias Lindholm is barking at him and just saying like, hey, yeah. And bad lip reading, but it serves our argument or our fun here that theoretically Lindholm said, I'm going to get you. And then Draisaitl goes...
It's so hard. It's so childish, but it's so hard to come back when you like try to talk shit to somebody and they're like, ooh, like, what are you supposed to do in response to that? It's just like, it's nothing says I don't take you seriously like going ooh. It's just impossible to come back from that.
A Canucks fan tweeted, is there a quote unquote superstar more unlikable than Leon Draisaitl? Leon Draisaitl, with the exception of like maybe to like Jim Matheson, is so fucking likable. And I've talked to people who cover the Canucks or the Oilers, and they will be like, yeah, like people don't make up the pissy Leon thing. Like, no. He does, like, and we're like, yeah, he's pissed. As a viewer, I love it. It's not good behavior, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over this. I want Leon Draisaitl to be a little pissy every now and then. It's It's Sassy Leon. He serves the C word, as
Oh,
some
yeah.
would say. And I love that about him. It's kind of, it's just another angle and another layer of his personality. And I think that he's got a great personality.
From one C word to the other, Corey Perry.
Oh, yeah.
I
think that he is more just like a general C word.
Corey Perry basically made I've never seen this before, the first on ice saw trap in NHL history, where he went up to Brock Besser, and as Besser was like getting closer to the Oilers, he was just holding up his stick as if to cross check, but without cross checking, and being like, if you come any further, you will be Carson Soucy'd. And he was holding it out he was holding it up exactly the height of Brock Besser's neck.
And it's important, like he wasn't like faking the cross check.
No, just holding
just
it.
a very stationary cross check.
And staring at him like, I don't know, like what was going on.
Go ahead, do it. I dare you.
Very funny stuff, boys.
Sean made a great point. And I don't know, Sean, if you want to make this point, but Sean, the turnaround on the optics of Corey Perry have been pretty expeditious this season.
Did Corey Perry win the trade?
Yeah, I mean, ever since he showed up on the Oilers, he's only been doing things that have made him more likable. He yelled at Vander Kane, and now he's like him threatening or whatever he was doing last night was one of the funniest things I've ever seen a player do. Like it was
Truly.
it was just like in the moment of a very important playoff game, he's like, I'm gonna make a joke. Like I am going to have some fun right now and just put my stick in front of you. I thought it was hilarious.
I've just never seen it before.
No, exactly. That's why I thought it was so funny.
The closest thing was Mark Recchi sticking the finger out to Burrows and saying, go ahead, do it.
But even though they were shoving their hands, so he's referencing in 2011 after Alex Burrows bit Patrice Bergeron's finger, for the next like 2 games, players were ruthlessly shoving their hands in each other's mouths, being like, wait, bite my finger? Hey, don't bite my finger, man. And the coaches had to talk to their teams before the game saying like, hey guys, don't shove your hands in the other team's mouth. That for sure was like or do you say that from like an unprecedented? Do you say it reminds you of it in how unprecedented it is, or just in that like there was like this weird stationary thing they were doing?
No, like that's the closest thing that I can think of with like, like a player like saying, here, I dare you to do it. Go ahead.
But even that, they were like forcing themselves on, like
True.
they were putting their hands in each other's mouths. This was just, it reminded me of George Bush Sr. holding up the baseball. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He just has a baseball and he's like, what do you guys think? That's what Corey Perry's like, hey, you want to fuck with me? Check it out.
It's also just like great. Like I keep watching the clip over again. It's just hilarious to me because like he had nothing to do with McDavid getting chucked in the face. Besser had nothing to do with McDavid getting checked in the face, and he's just like, I'm going to joke about that right now.
So do you think he was? You said joke a couple times. I don't know if he was joking.
I think
it's more of a taunt than a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was like because like if you look at the video behind him, like the Oilers were clearly outnumbering the Canucks, so he didn't really have anything to do in that scrum. He was just like.
I think it was Corey Perry saying like, I will kill you, but I don't have to be demonstrative and put on an act to show that I'm tougher than you. It's just like the threat of saying, here's my stick. If you want it, come get it.
And I think I think it was a clear reference to what happened to McDavid. Just
100%.
You know what this means.
Yeah.
Take another step, and I'll make sure you know what this means.
Well, that's why it's so funny, is because it comes the game after the McDavid thing happened, where it's like, you did it to our guy. I'm not afraid to do it to you.
Also, for a guy that I feel like had the reputation for a lot of his career of just kind of like being a dirty player and living on the edge, like I said, big playoff game, heated rival, and he didn't like take it further than he had to. Like he just stood there and like kept Besser from getting involved, didn't hit anybody, like didn't run the risk of getting a penalty or anything
No
like
penalty
that.
for holding your stick.
Exactly.
Just has 2 hands on a stick.
And I think it was so demonstrative that if Besser had, like if he had made contact with his stick, like there's no way a ref can call a penalty there because it was so obvious that his arms were extended. There can't be a follow through if your arms are fully
It's
extended
also
already.
the shittiest booby trap in the world.
That's like you said,
what
it's
is
a
so
sauna
funny
trap.
to me. That like, if you go any further,
So I don't think it's a
not like a
booby trap.
tripwire. It's like you could physically see if he just went any further, he'd be like,
Yeah, well, I don't think it was a booby trap. I think it was a threat.
It was a
No, I'm
minefield
saying just
with a sign that said there are mines
there was
here.
just a bar hanging there that if he'd gone any further, he would have run into.
Maybe he wanted him to do the limbo.
It was like a cow fence. It's like if you go by, you're gonna get electrocuted. You could try and get past it and deal with whatever comes after that, but you're gonna get
Oh
electrocuted.
yeah,
in the
what it would have been amazing if Brock Besser just like went around it.
yeah,
or
Could've
did
done that.
the limbo. That would have been incredible. That would have
Yeah.
been good behavior.
He would have fallen down.
Speaking of behavior, we have to get into the coach shenanigans in the Boston Florida series, because Jim Montgomery and Paul Maurice had quite the night last night.
Yep, there was obviously the on the Luosterainen thing, Montgomery doing this thing that Pete turned into the Soulja Boy Yule that was amazing. I'll take that from him. I'll take some of the emotion because he's in a tough spot. Jim Montgomery is not allowed to get mad at his players. That's the number one rule of being the Bruins coach.
It's true.
You get mad at the players.
That'd be nice.
Last night they were saying, like, why doesn't he get on Lindholm? Why is he coming out in the press conference after not saying, like, hey, he's got to be sharper there? And
Because
I was like,
he got that job because the other coach was mean to the guys.
Because you're not allowed to do that if you're the Bruins coach. So that guy can't yell unless it's at the officials. And maybe it's a little overdue. People wanted him to yell before. But boy, oh boy, he tried yelling for the first time. And sweetie, you did amazing.
He really did. It was the most animated I've ever seen Jim Montgomery on the bench. And like you say, he yelled. There was some yelling, but it was mostly charades. He was playing charades. The acting job of Jim Montgomery behind the bench was incredible. And it wasn't just the Luosterainen thing. There were several incidents where he was throwing back his head.
After the McAvoy penalty,
he was doing the dive. He did the Soulja Boy. He cranked that. Like, he had one hell of a night. And then, of course, less surprisingly, after the Panthers loss, Paul Maurice gets the podium.
Johnny Joke Maker.
Johnny Joke Man.
Up to his old tricks.
That's right.
Is that Johnny the Joke Man?
Johnny the Joke Man. Here he is.
Just thought they needed some profanity in their life. I brought some. I don't excel a lot of things in life, but fuck me, am I good at that. You see how I did that? Okay. Right? It's going to be an absolute barn burner in there. There'll be 18,000 cameras on the morning skate just to see if when he sips of the water bottle Brad Marchand takes. It's going to be some high-end investigative journalism. You guys go home and get a nap? Because you got some shit to do in a couple days. Okay.
Sorry, so Maurice yelled at his team in the second period, screaming on the bench and everything before they scored. So he was asked, what were you yelling about? That guy yells. And he said, hey, I'm going to swear because I'm a cool guy in a press conference. And then he did the cool, hey, it's going to be fucking crazy in Boston on Friday. We're used to these kinds of things from Paul Maurice. I do have to ask about the behavior. I will take it. I thought he was being a douche with Wyshynski, but that rocked because Wyshynski gave it right back to him. Dane cooked him harder than he ever thought he could have been Dane cooked. If after a loss, you're letting a series maybe slip away, and you got Johnny the Joke Maker up there, if you're a player, are you like, dude, what are you doing?
Are you talking about the Panthers?
Yeah. Are you liking that out of your coach that he's up there saying, oh, I bet you guys are going to be like, man, that's one where he'd be forgiven if he had a short presser. But he did 10 minutes.
So I think that the reason why I like that is almost exclusively for the players, because he's being such a quote and such a chummy motherfucker after a loss like that. The attention is being taken away from the players. Like, they're not hungry for quotes. The media is not hungry for quotes.
That's a good point.
I'm sure that the players, are still answering questions and getting some tough questions.
No one cares.
But nobody really cares. Like, all of the attention is on Paul Maurice after that loss because he has a funny press conference.
I'll give that to him. The optics are still bad, though. I'll say, I don't know if there are columnists down in Florida, but if there are, columnists should be having a field day with him. If Jim Montgomery, think of how we were getting on him as the Bruins were letting that series slip away against the Leafs. If he was coming out after and he was like, well, guess we got to go to Toronto now. Are they the ones with poutine? We'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Your team is fucking losing. You're better than these idiots. How is this happening?
Felger would skewer
And
Paul
he
Maurice.
should. It should not surprise you that I forget what Felger called him last night, but he was like, all right, coming up after the break, we'll hear from the coaches. Can't wait to see what that idiot has to say. And then he was proven right by him coming out doing Johnny the Joke Maker.
I mean, yeah, and he does it. He's very like smug, and I think that he's funny and he's a good quote and it's entertaining. I'd rather see that than and be able to come and talk about it on this show than some white bread motherfucker who doesn't really say anything and just recites cliches. But I do think sometimes the reaction to it is like, oh my God, this guy's zany. Like,
Yeah,
but I do like it for the purpose of taking some of the heat off the players, him kind of seizing a lot of the spotlight, seizing a lot of the media attention, and just letting his guys play.
I like that. There could be strategy there. Do you remember in our pop culture days my issue with Joshua Jackson's acting on the show Dawson's Creek?
Yeah, he was like every line that he recited was like he was fucking Aristotle or something.
No, I'm sorry, that's Dawson. I'm talking about Joshua. I'm talking
that's Percy was the exact same way. Like he had like this big.
Is Percy?
Percy is Joshua Jackson's character.
Pacey.
That's right. Sorry.
No, so my issue with Pacey and Joshua Jackson was that I thought he had only watched one actor before in his life, and it was George Clooney, who isn't a very good actor. And Joshua Jackson was like, I'm just going to say every line like this. I'm just going to... He's got a little, like, George Clooney school of acting to him, Paul Maurice. He gets up to, hey, look, you're from Boston. I get it. Hey, you...
He does have like an air of like I'm better than you, or
hey, look! Oh, yeah,
I
please.
exist in a plane above
Before
you.
So, like he challenged that. He challenged that offsides, and I'm sure he like went over to the officials and he was like, "Hey, dude, you guys do what you're gonna do. I'm sure you're gonna go. Or I'm the goaltender referee. You do what you're gonna do. You're gonna say it wasn't. I know how it is. All good, brother. You got your masters. Hey, look, we all got bosses.
I'm a cool guy. I say the fuck word sometimes.
That's fine. Hey, and fuck me if." Oh, fuck my ass and call me a bitch. hey, I just want to let you know that fucking call. Ooh, slap my grandma.
Same guy who did the Jim Montgomery
Suck my dick and call me
press
Charlie.
conference. We need the same guy who did the Jim Montgomery fake press conference with the AI to do one for Paul Maurice, and it's him just saying like absolutely vulgar shit, just swearing the whole time.
Hey, shit, piss, fuck. You know, those.
Yes.
You can't do all those, but that's the old George Carlin thing.
Oh, I thought you were doing the Blink-182.
Oh, that's adorable.
Mhm.
That they're doing George Carlin.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, George Carlin has the
seven
seven
dirty
words you can't say
yeah.
or whatever. So there's a song called Family Reunion, I believe is the name of that, by Blink-182.
Yep.
And they just say those words over and over again and then end it with, remember what they say? I fucked your mom. And that's the end of the song.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I do like your argument that he at least might be doing it for his team. It might be a bit of an act. Still kind of silly behavior. There was one more thing that that I was reminded of as you were saying that, but I lost my my train of thought. What do you think happens Friday? Do you really do think like the Bruins are sincerely alive?
Yeah, I mean, I could very easily see myself looking like a moron believing that. I could very easily see them getting their asses kicked on Friday. Like the problem with the Bruins is that they don't seem to have that consistency from game to game. I could very easily see them getting run out of the building on Friday and having their season end. But I'm encouraged by how strong their performance was in their execution last night.
I really want to send Sean to that game. I don't know why. I just
Boots
want
on the
Sean to go.
ground?
I want Sean to go by himself.
Well, because if the Bruins lose, Sean's going to be the happiest person in the fucking building, but like he also might get killed. Bruins fans might kill Sean as he's laughing in their face when the season ends.
I don't care enough about the Panthers to, I think, put myself in that danger. Like if it was the Sabres, I don't know. I might actually. Never mind. I do hate the Bruins that much. I was gonna say like I feel like I don't. My feelings on the series are entirely focused on how much I hate the Bruins, not how much like I don't really care about the Florida Panthers. So like Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think we can find a new producer in 2 days. That's my problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if they kill him, we're fucked.
It's such a good thing. that
It's
the
a
Sabres are in the
problem
playoffs
for
right
us.
now.
I don't care about what happens to you if the Bruins lose, but for me, I want to be able to do a show on Monday.
Let's do a slate grade. Tonight, there is just one game. There is at 8 p.m. U.S., the Colorado Avalanche will visit the Stars and try to stay alive. And just one game, 8 o'clock. Structure kind of is what it is. When there's one game, do you like 8?
Yeah.
Or do you prefer 7?
I mean, I prefer 7 when it's my team. When it's the Bruins, like waiting for the 8 o'clock start, horrible. But this one is in Dallas?
Yes.
So that's totally fine for Dallas. It's 7 o'clock for Dallas.
Yeah.
So I think you got to accommodate the local market. I think it's a good behavior.
I also think on days that there's one game, now that I'm so used to being up until like 1 a.m. watching hockey, it's weird if it ends at 10 and I just have like hours left in my night.
I'm not going to complain about that, but
well, I'm not, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to force myself asleep.
yeah.
So like I'd rather be up watching hockey than doing nothing.
Okay, I'm going to give this oh, that's adorable. Chat says, why does DJ think the U.S. has its own time zone?
Oh, brother.
Oh, sweetie.
Welcome
love
to
you
the
so
show.
much. Please subscribe if you have not. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. We love you so much. U.S. is a hockey thing. It's not a
Yeah.
DJ thing. It's a hockey thing. Okay?
U.S. Thanksgiving is where it originated.
It
correct?
is, as you're to give a peek behind the curtain so you don't have to go back and listen to
We're
old
explaining the
episodes.
joke?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then we give the little star. The joke has been explained. Congratulations. And congratulations to tonight's slate for receiving the easiest A- in the fucking world. I think the Avalanche get eliminated tonight. And even if they don't, I don't see them winning this series, which brings us to a new segment presented by Shady Rays called The Future is Bright. And to the Colorado Avalanche, I will say things have not gone the way that you wanted them to. I don't know. You had a cup-ish type team this year. Obviously, the road became tough, and you ended up running into a major obstacle when you lost your leading goal scorer. But the future is bright for the Dallas Stars because not only are they going to win this series, I think that they can just go right onto the Stanley Cup. And then after that, think of all the young players the Stars have. Stankoven, Wyatt Johnston just turned 21.
Not as young as he used to be.
Not as he's getting older and older and older.
What's up?
I said, who is?
Wyatt
young
First
as
day of the rest of your
basically.
life.
Yeah.
But I mean, think of like the young guys. Jason Robertson, still a young man, 24 years old. God, the future is bright in Dallas.
How old's Rupe Hintz? Sorry.
Rupe. Do we know his status on him? He's 27.
He's 27. He definitely is a little banged up.
Yeah,
And you
he's
could-
for sure banged up. Do we
Yeah.
know if he's in?
I don't know because he took that cross check in the lower back and it seemed to really, really bother him last
Rupe
game.
Hintz is out for Game 5.
Out?
He's out. Okay, well, the future is bright for the Dallas Stars, and that's brought to you by Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 at checkout for 35% off polarized sunglasses.
The future certainly is bright because, as we've mentioned, the path for the Dallas Stars has never looked easier than it does right now.
I don't like that the Oilers are no longer the path team.
Yeah, it's true.
I do think that this series is over for the Oilers. I think they're going to be just fine. Was never
Not worried?
Was never worried for a second. Avalanche, RIP. Yeah. Tonight, when
Yeah.
when they shake your hands.
Yeah, I think it's over tonight. The vibes are so bad with the Avalanche, and the Moose is too quiet. McKinnon's being contained. Makar, you mentioned, hasn't gotten on the board in 3 games. Like you got to rely on Georgiev, who you don't really know what you're getting from him on any given night, but just the defense in front of him not good enough. Just things are just it's so bad, and it feels like there's no life behind the Avalanche's eyes anymore. But do have to acknowledge we have a super chat from Katie.
We have like 80. We have 8 super chats.
Yo, run through them. Run dog me some super chats.
So a bunch we got earlier in the show. $10 from Patrick Doyle. Halfway to 13 shots in the first 5 minutes. McAvoy, remember how to play hockey. Stonewall Sway Austin.
Hell yeah,
Stonewall Sway Austin. What a nickname.
that's pretty sweet.
Hell yeah. 13-13 from Eric. 13-13 for 13 shots. Nostra DJ. You're getting a lot of credit for your 13 shot
I mean,
prediction.
he absolutely should get a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of credit.
I texted
That
it to
is
you guys.
such a wild number to pull out of your ass and get absolutely correct.
Specifically.
Oh, and also, did you see the list of things I tweeted was going to happen last night?
Yeah.
And they all happened. I just sent it to you guys at the end of the night with
They didn't all happen.
Colby
because
Armstrong voice and then sent
We
it
had
to you.
no appearance from Sugarland and Bon Jovi.
Yes, we did. Did you miss it?
I missed it.
What a dumb bitch. Well, I know I was going to look at Sean. Did you miss it? Sean wasn't looking for it. Sean was fucking watching.
Did you tweet it?
Turned off the WNBA. So maybe you did see it. Did you guys not see it?
No.
I tweeted like as expected, Bruins win, and that Jovi X Nettles is bumping loud. And it was Who Says You Can't Go Home with David Pasternak saying, "Oh, what's up, my man?" to me at the All-Star game. Lena Solmark saying, "Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?" I got a playlist called Nothing for Pussies.
I didn't see it.
Jim Montgomery freaking out. Just a bunch of stuff.
That's on you. You didn't.
It blew the fuck up. That had like 5 retweets.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, so all those things happened. So I said they were going to win behind a 13-shot on goal onslaught. I said Jovi X Sugarland was going to go crazy. I was not going to worry about the Edmonton Oilers, and the Oilers would win. Here, just play it on your computer lightly. I don't know. Are we going to get...
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Okay. Well, I mean, I sent the response to you. I said, I sent the Birdman meme with him rubbing his hands together, and I was like, Sugarland right now, because I was waiting for the Sugarland to bring all of those things to fruition.
Okay, Sean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to you. I'm sending it to you. You can play it.
No, you can't.
And no audio.
No, it's because it has game highlights too.
Oh, fuck, good call. I was gonna. Who says can't go home? It's a good song.
All right, what else we got for super chats?
Tessa, $4.99 in honor of Boston completing the sweep against Montreal last night.
That's right.
Shout out
the PWHL Boston.
P.
I did watch the third overtime of that, not last game, the game before that. It was wild. The Bruins. Boston was getting fucking caved in, and then they scored.
Did you see what the coaches said after the game?
No.
It was the best. Montreal's coach said, I think that we really were the better team for 10 of 12 periods. And then the Boston coach was asked about that, and they said, oh, that's very great for them. We're moving on.
That's perfect. Also,
cool, he won some periods.
Also, there was a player in that game who had 12 seconds of ice time.
Yeah.
Was a -1 in a 3 overtime. Like you have to retire.
I believe
you
they
gotta
were
quit.
the 7th defenseman on the team at the time.
Doesn't matter.
But still.
You have 7 defensemen.
Why
You play
is
3
she on the
overtimes. You only see 12 seconds of overtime, and you're ice time, and you're a -1.
Listen,
If you did not get hurt, you got to retire.
That is not most embarrassing for the defenseman, though. You know who that's most embarrassing for? The forward that got scratched, who would have been the 12th forward. They went 11 forwards and didn't even use the 7th defenseman.
That's true.
That's how little they think of you.
That's true. That's a good
I'm
point.
getting that player's jersey.
I mean,
2 players got to retire.
No, I'm collecting that check as long as you're going to pay me. If you're not going to, that's the GM's fault.
Yeah,
Keep giving
but
me the money.
you got to get dressed and you got to sit on the bench, having played 12 seconds and watching 2 full games unfold in front of you, and you don't get deployed at all.
Then, I mean, is she supposed to go play in the other professional league? Like,
I get what you're saying, like living her dream, cashing checks, playing professional hockey. But fuck, you can't feel good after that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it can't feel great, but
That's tough.
Do we have any other super chats?
yeah, we got 3 more. Christian, $2 said, too many men champs 2024.
Hell yeah.
True.
Lima Bean said, Flyers fan represent.
Tough.
And
But thank
Katie,
you.
back as always, $4.99. I'm full of hope again, Sean. Not good. Go Avs. What has happened over the last 48 hours to fill you with hope again?
That's a good question.
Let's
Where's that hope coming from?
let's wrap up on this game that I kind of just thought of this morning, and I was going to flesh it out for tomorrow, but it's going to be quick, so I wanted to do it anyway. It's a too many men themed game where you need to know the difference between 5 and 6. I'm going to ask how many of something there are, and we see who quickly Who quickest can correctly get 5 or 6? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. How many are there 5 or 6 studio albums by Kendrick Lamar?
Studio albums?
Yep.
5.
5 is correct. Are there, the phrasing here could be tough. How many flags fly over Florida? 5 or 6?
Fly over Florida?
6.
What makes you think that?
Because I guessed one of the two numbers.
I don't really fully know what the question means, so I'll
So
say
there's
5.
state, I don't know what it means. Some states do a thing where they say X amount of flags fly over whatever. And there's a theme park that was made
6
based
Flags.
on what is. So what would you like to make your final answer?
6.
I will guess 5 because Disney World, and 6 Flags probably tried to one-up Disney World by just adding another
So
flag.
it was a trick. I thought that you guys would hear flags in 5 or 6 and say, oh, this must be a 6 Flags thing. That's Texas. It's named after the flags that fly over Texas.
I actually
Florida
didn't know that.
has 5.
I've been to that. It's a 6 Flags over Texas. I've been to that theme park multiple times.
Yeah, I don't even get what that is though. The flags fly over a state thing. Just have one.
I mean,
and
Texas
honestly,
is
if you're in
weird.
the South and you want as few flags as possible because it narrows it eliminates the chances that you're doing some of the bad
I'm
ones.
assuming that means like U.S. flag, state flag.
Like-
I know like a lot of states fly the
Like the
Palmia,
police.
the prisoner of war.
Oh, right.
Flag.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that
Do they,
includes.
like,
There's probably like a
police?
city flag.
Hmm.
Who knows? It's Texas. There's a 50% chance they're throwing the thin blue line flag up there.
True.
I don't fully know what it means, but I'm guessing it's like city or like country, city, state flag, stuff like that.
Okay, everybody knows how many members of the Jackson 5 there were,
Yep.
but how many members of the group the Jacksons were there?
6.
5. Jermaine left. Randy came in.
Okay.
It was just different. It was a different combination of Jackson children.
Okay.
That'll wrap up that game. Who
Nice.
wins? Sean, maybe?
I think no. I
don't think
I
anyone
think we
won.
split 1-1. And
You
then,
did about if we had the Bruins here to do it, they would have lost and they would have grabbed no pants.
How many members of Maroon 5 are there?
Oh, yesterday on the radio, they were playing audio of Pat Maroon and Felger called for a cut. So they
Yeah.
have the things labeled. So they would have like Swayman 1, Swayman 2, Swayman 3, whatever. Sean, you remarked that their producer, Jimmy Stewart, is just quick draw McGraw back there. Felger, who probably doesn't know who Maroon 5 is, said like, all right, Jimmy, can you play Maroon 5 for me? And within a second, this love had it just ready.
That's
It was
amazing.
and then he was like, I don't know what that is. Could you play the audio of Pat Maroon
I don't
talking?
know.
Serious question. How many members of Maroon 5 are there
Okay,
Like all time or currently?
currently?
there is Adam Levine. There's something Valentine, right? Is there a guy named Valentine? In the group?
Correct. James Valentine.
Well, Jimmy Valentine.
Yeah.
There is a drummer. There is. Let's see. So
Could have guessed 5.
back when they were like a band, it was guitar, it was bass, it was keys, it was Adam Levine was just a singer. There should be 5.
There are 6 members of Maroon 5.
Oh, so I was deciding between 4 and 5.
No, there are
I
there are
figured-
6
yeah.
members of Maroon 5. Well, there's really only one
There's
member
one now.
of
They-
Maroon 5.
I've seen
Let's
them
be
in concert
honest.
Since their third album, there has only been one member of.
How many members? I know you're going to know the answer to this. How many members of Ben Folds 5 are there?
Don't know what that is.
Do you know who Ben Folds is?
I know the name.
He
Ben
was
Folds,
the president. No, I'm just kidding.
Has a band called Ben Folds 5. There are 3 members.
They're
of
a
Ben,
trio. It's
of
adorable.
Ben Folds 5.
What a cool move.
Hell
It's
yeah.
great. So that's too many men and sometimes too few men. Great little game.
Another one of those fun things is I forget what band. Some band named their first album 4. And I love that because 4, like when a band, it was always like a big feather in a band's cap to like put out 4 albums, and usually the 4th one is the best one. I forget what band made their first album 4.
I know
Rockstar.
Maroon 5 put out an album that was just V,
Yeah.
Yep.
and no one knew what to call it.
Oh,
Because
Maroon
it's also
5. Yeah.
please get ready to fucking speak Bon Iver. What the fuck are those albums called?
I know.
Motherfucker got
seriously.
hieroglyphics on the album.
Yeah, forever ago though.
Is it I, comma I? Is that what it's called? Like I, comma double I or something?
Yeah.
What
But there's also like one that's like just like 22 forever.
Oh, yeah. That one as well.
Did know this, actually. Now that G. Willikers says it, G. Willikers says in the chat, 6 flies over Texas because 6 different countries ruled over Texas at one point. You'd have Mexico, the U.S., the English, I would assume, independent Texas,
Cool.
the Confederate Army, and something else.
I, comma I is the
I, comma I.
is the Force You album.
That's not too
Pony
hard.
Bear.
Okay, well, we've got a big show for you tomorrow. We will see what happens with the Stars and the Avalanche, but the fun continues. Did we do a like spike, Peter?
We did not do a like spike. So if you are here, if you stuck through all of the show, shout out Thomas Drance for joining us. Now you have made it to the like spike. Congratulations. Please hit that thumbs up right below the video player. Get those likes as high as we can get them. Also, we have hit 6,000 on the YouTube channel, but let's keep growing. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Thank you very much.
Oh,
we love
somebody
you.
said how many members are there in Five for Fighting? That's a good one. Do you know the answer?
Number one, only one.
It's just a guy.
John Andrasic. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's a massive Los Angeles Kings fan.
Well, he famously can't stand to fly.
He cannot stand to fly.
He's not that naive.
He's not a Winnipeg Jets fan.
He's more than a bird. Whereas Nelly Furtado is actually a bit like a bird.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what's talking about Nelly Furtado?
Mm-hmm.
She's telling you basically like what I would be like, I would say is I know I'm looking all like person-y.
You could also
I'd say I'm more of a bird.
I mean, John Andrasic, Five for Fighting.
John Abruzzi.
The complete opposite of Sugar Ray, because Sugar Ray just wants to fly.
Yes. Featuring Supercat. They always cut Supercat's verse, though, on the radio edit. All around the world, statues crumble for Mark McGrath. Do you know this? He's not allowed in some of like the classic cities because all this historic architecture just...
Probably not allowed to any sports arenas either. Because that Bobby Orr statue, if you ever show up to the TD Garden and the Bobby Orr statue crumbled for Mark McGrath, gross.
I don't know how I think that Spain was the 6th country, considering the fact that if it was Mexico, it was Spain. Like Spain ruled all of the southern parts of North America, basically. But yeah, that was the 6th country.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're going to get Sean to Game 6, we think. Don't know why or how, but join us tomorrow where the party will continue. And as Pete said, if you're not subscribed anywhere, do it. We'll have clips from today's show and all that fun stuff, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.